Zone B has been neutralized.
Uh-oh, I can't use my abilities.
Zone B has been captured.
This is taking too long. Fire in the hole. Healing. Uh-oh, I've been snared. Repairing. Placing gas trap. Frag out. Rápido, rápido.
Variable for the lab rats. Introducing a new
I always thought you were a few coldies short of slack.
Zone B captured. Attention. A capture bonus event is
Yeah, let me know if it's better.
Gonna make a few laps around the heroes.
We're behind by a lot too.
Zone C has been
My
captured.
abilities are malfunctioning.
It is fucking long.
capture bonus. Dark Star delivered. Where? I've added a variable. I still see everything. Placing gas trap. Adding another gas trap. My mission is clear.
Please don't do stuff like that.
Bring medical aid.
What? Behind an entire 13%. I can.
Arcstar.
Definitely not.
Repairing my damages. Using meds. Come on, come on, come on.
A capture bonus has been added to Zone A, sponsored by Silver Pharmaceuticals.
Gas trap deployed.
Uh-oh, I can't use my abilities.
Dark Star delivered.
I'm ready to get A, dude. Holy shit.
We're halfway to winning, halfway to being cool. Enemies right here. Can't use my abilities. Bad guys, let's do this.
Using an independent variable.
Dude, oh, what the fuck? That's interesting. Wow.
We've got company.
Zone B has been captured.
Throwing arc star.
Evidence is clear. Placing gas trap. Gas trap deployed.
Throwing arc star.
Gas
I
trap
need
deployed.
shields. Go faster. Going out. We should go this way. Arc star.
Enemy spotted.
Healing. Ah, this is taking too long. We're ahead. We had this won before they've even started.
Gas trap deployed. Alpha team.
Got some bad guys here. Uh-oh, I can't use my abilities.
Waiting.
No one sees that this kid wants me? No one sees that this kid wants me, dude? Holy shit.
Target. Never again.
Supposed to be watching my back, dude.
Zone A has been
Arc star out. Repairing my damages.
Zone A Apex champions. Time to put some lead down range.
I wish for one thing. Results.
The All-Father will gift us today.
Good. Where am I?
Our enemies will struggle to track us on foot. Dismount here.
Oh, so you get your ultimate whenever you fill up a rating. Okay.
Contact with target.
Zone B has been captured.
That zone's ours, squad.
Yikes.
I still see it.
I'll see you for now. No, but these kids are not dying, dude. Bro, they were just eating the gas, dude. They're literally just eating the gas.
Let's push this thing to high speed. Buckle up.
Marking our surroundings.
They're not having it.
Throwing thermite.
I still see everything.
Wow. That's not the one. Oh, right. Yeah.
Won't inherit the earth after all.
Can't play Bangalore. Play fierce.
Zone B has been captured.
Yeah, nah. They got that capture bonus.
Look at these fucking kids, dude. Nice.
Top of the chimney. Healing. Watch my back.
Package being delivered.
Oh my god.
Taking a knee.
Yo, these kids want this shit way too bad, dude. Holy. Someone is using initiative and just take A, dude.
Throwing thermite.
Attention. A capture bonus event will end shortly.
Look at these kids, dude.
Clown there. Lucky me.
Holy shit, dude.
No one will ever know. You'll just be gone.
Got us the zone.
We're halfway to winning, and now we're warmed up.
Died. Look at these kills. Why the fuck are you in there, dude?
Elbow says kia ora, by the way.
Why are they in there, dude?
Copy. They're about to win.
Huge. No mistake.
Looks like you failed the mission. We have our Apex champions.
All these skin bags are ready to die.
If you can't keep up, you're straight out of luck.
I got your back. Remember me tell you.
Introducing your champion.
All right, this is good. This is good. Let's fight.
The ref had to go to the bathroom real quick, so we're gonna land late.
Optics here. Mastiff here. Aim down sight to choke the spread.
Like, holy shit, dude. Am I gonna find a gun or what?
Hostile spotted. Car SMG here.
Probably actually get down this maybe. Actually, hold on. Where's that 2-time sight there?
Got a live one out there.
100% die there for sure.
Throwing thermite grenade. Broke enemy shield. Putting lead down. Enemy spotted. Reloading.
Attention. There is a new kill
Thermite
leader.
grenade out. New kill leader. They're getting cocky. Throwing hostile.
What the fuck?
Reloading. Enemy shield. Spotted. Smoke out. Whole squad taken out. I like what I see.
Spotted bad. Ring 8 close. I'm spotted. Taking fire. Bad. Broke their shield now. Reloading. This way. Let's go.
Good shit, dude. That's so annoying. That's actually so annoying. It's actually very annoying. Why did our rate even like challenge me back like that, dude? I don't understand.
Hello and welcome to the Caniper Effect. This is a studio spotlight on the
Studio cockpit.
Yes, I know Studio Spotlight's a Caniper's thing. Don't care, he lives in Australia and the borders are now open, so if need be, I will gladly go for a biff in the Macca's car park. But anyway, with the threats out of the way, let's get to the video. Also, a little disclaimer, as I know Studio Cockpit is a name that's known outside of Dragon Ball and especially among Pokemon fans. Since this channel is mostly centered around Dragon Ball, that is the series, which will be emphasized most throughout this video, but stick around because I'll get a little into Pokemon's production as well. But let's get to it. So in early 1978, an assistant director working in Tokyo by the name of Hidenori Yamaguchi had left Studio 8 and founded his own Studio Cockpit, with it specializing in both key and in-between animation, as well as finishing work, which refers to the job of inking and coloring an animator's drawings. Now, although there are no direct credits to the studio that year, in the following one, their first contracted job would be some minor support work on Julie the Wild Rose, providing in-between animation on the 4th episode. Now that might sound like quite insignificant work compared to Cockpit's later credits, however support work such as this is quite a common practice for many newly formed studios, and can be essential for survival throughout the early stages, due to them often having a lack of talent or finances, and oftentimes both. However, it wouldn't be that long until the new studio would land its first work with Toei Animation, most likely due to connections Yamaguchi had established while working on some of Toei's high-profile productions like Mazinger Z earlier in the 70s. And from this point, Cockpit would find itself across many of Toei's titles throughout this decade and into the 90s. And a small tidbit is that this show, Cyborg 009, also had another animation studio contracted to it, which is a name more than familiar to Dragon Ball fans, however not exactly in a positive sense,
Beginning ring countdown.
Keep calm, darlings. We're already inside the next ring. Charge rifle here.
New kill leader appointed.
Try this weird shit. Hold on. There's a heavy right there.
Got an extended energy mag here. Level 3.
Reckon we should head here.
Let's reposition here. There's a jump tower here.
Evo shield here. Level 2. I found a hop up here. Tempo.
Hop in the chimney.
Sniper stock over here. Level 1.
There's a jump tower here.
There is a new kill leader.
Hey, watch my back, pals. There's a new kill leader out there.
Looks like that area's been compromised.
Let's
check out this end.
Phone call. A baddie.
Dropping the plane.
This kid is on me like that, dude. Holy shit. With no sound.
Looks like someone didn't understand the gravity of the situation.
Look at these kids, dude.
Keep calm, dears. We're already inside the
Someone behind you. Oh, can't hear me, but.
Attention. Delivering care package.
Studio Live. It's kind of ironic this production featured what would be one of the top and also the poorest studios quality-wise to have ever worked on Dragon Ball Z. However, the early 80s would mark several new inclusions. For one, Yamaguchi would found Studio Peacock in 83 that was specialized in solely finishing work as well as being an affiliate now of Studio Cockpit. But the second
No. No. Oh my god.
Optics here. Close home.
time to drop shot. Champions out, huh? Throne's ours for the taking.
Shields recharging. I'm using a Phoenix kit.
Safety's off. Enemy landed on me.
Note here. This could get interesting.
Oscar Mike, you spotted. Taking fire.
Yeah, overdose me.
We've got another squad. And we're shooting.
Give me a sec.
Grenade deployed.
I don't get that, but okay. What is that?
Giving him the chimney.
Killed a hooli.
I'm taking fire. Recharging my shield.
Shooting at me. I broke an enemy shield.
Give my shields a recharge.
Grenade.
Recharging my shield.
Give me a sec. Recharging shields.
Oh. Bomb. Sweet bomb on us. Me and you are down.
Take it.
Shot fired at me. Broken enemy shield.
Pause. Best bounce our bums this way.
Taking a
Solid
moment
copy.
to recharge
I'm heading
my
to you now.
shields. I am down, but alive.
And those squad mates to save you? Buddy.
Second being the addition of an 18-year-old animator fresh out of college, Masaki Iwane. Interestingly enough, despite his name eventually being almost synonymous with the name of the studio itself, Cockpit was nowhere even close to being his first pick. Initially, Iwane was searching for a studio that provided a regular income rather than incentive-based compensation many offered at the time, and so he set his eyes on Toei Animation, Studio Pierrot, and the newly founded Gainax. However, unfortunately for him, he failed the exams of both Toei and Pierrot, and when it came to Gainax, in his own words, "I was an experienceless nobody, they passed on me as well." He then devoted his attention to one by the name of Anime R, as he believed the studio was in its golden age, but with that came the doubt of whether his own skills were up to par to even join the company, and meanwhile was weighing up the decision of having to move to Tokyo if he did. However, it was Iwane's love for the Yamato franchise by Leiji Matsumoto that would make him change course. Iwane recalled how in one of the prior movies, there was a credit to Studio Cockpit, and so applied in hope that it would open the door for him to one day leave his own mark on the franchise. And so it was set. Iwane grabbed his drawings, moved to Tokyo, and this time, much to his delight, passed the entrance exam. Iwane notes many years later if he had failed, his next option would have been the second studio listed in the credits under Cockpit, Mushu Onion Production. Now, although it cannot be understated how important Iwane would be to the studio down the line, that by no means he was the only skilled animator there at the time, as you had other young talents like Masatomo Sudo, joining a little earlier in 81, and who would go on to work on classics like Akira and become heavily involved in the Detective Conan franchise, as well as Lupin. There was also Noriko Takahashi, who you can find just about on any title from Naruto to Food Wars, and sports quite an impressive resume in his own right. But in 1986, another hardcore Yamato fan would join the team, that being Keisuke Masunaga. Masunaga, much like Iwane, would be another key figure in shaping Studio Cockpit's reputation. And by simple observation of his early days, it's not hard to see the patterns forming. In just a year alone, Masunaga had been promoted from an in-betweener to a key animator, while also clearing the studio's requirements of an in-betweener to produce 1,000 drawings over the course of a single month. And within an industry that's all too often plagued with the lack of time thanks to tight production schedules, an asset such as Masunaga's sheer speed couldn't be more valuable in this environment. Another tidbit is that his first key animation credit was on Bug Tea Honey, with the character designs being by none other than Minoru Maeda, a more than familiar name to Dragon Ball fans thanks to his work as character designer for most of Dragon Ball Z, as well as on the original series, where he was regularly involved in at this time.
Playing or what?
But outside of that, and looking at the studio as a whole, it's clear Yamaguchi's endeavor was successful and the company had maintained a steady stream of contracts while also bringing on many young and talented animators. However, even as noteworthy those achievements were, the following decade would be where the studio would truly etch out its own notable legacy.
First blood.
Round 1. Beginning ring countdown.
Next ring's far. Target landed near me. Wrong choice.
way disconnected.
Healing. Watch my back. Shield. Ring's closing soon. Give him my shield to reach. He's low. Double timing it.
It's just right there. What the hell?
Got the squad's plan.
Can I heal? Holy shit.
Give my shields a recharge.
In progress.
Give my shields a recharge. Throwing donut. Spotted. Double timing it. Throwing arc star. Give me a sec. Recharging shields.
No way, dude.
So 1991 would bring on several new members to the team who would play a part in that. After some internal conflict over in Mushu Ungen production between a staff member and the company's president, the fallout would lead to a group of animators led by Hisashi Kagawa exiting the company. However, with one of the members in the group having connections to good old Yamaguchi, many of the crew would make their way over to Cockpit. Kagawa, on the other hand, had his sights on being a freelancer, although with a lot of his colleagues having made the move, he put those ambitions on hold and likewise joined. And with that, Cockpit had acquired another young talented supervisor, but also several equally great key animators, that being Tatsufumi Tamakawa and Yoshihiko Yumikoshi. All three would later go on to work on Dragon Ball Z, and with also interestingly Kagawa and Yumikoshi in particular being some of the few former Cockpit members to have participated in the franchise post-Z, with Kagawa having a credit on Super's first opening and surprisingly being active on Super Dragon Ball Heroes of all things, and with Yumikoshi marking his return with Dragon Ball Super Broly. However, in Yumikoshi's case, it would be his character design work on shows from Berserk to Heart Catch Pretty Cure, but especially in recent years on Studio Bones' My Hero Academia, which would really launch his name out there to both casual and hardcore anime fans alike. But in 1992, with Toei underway on the production of another magical girl show, however of much more notability than many of their prior ones, Sailor Moon, many of the new talents would get to put their stylistic quirks on display. Studio Cockpit would debut with episode 3 and would be cemented in the production rotation. The Sailor Moon team initially would be made up of predominantly the same crew from Goldfish Warning, just having finished airing, another one of the many Toei titles you can find Cockpit contracted to, with naturally Kunihiko Natsume following on as supervisor for their first couple of entries. However, after some tension internally, there would be a supervisor shuffle with one of Sailor Moon's producers, having Natsume swapped out with the new Kagawa filling that role for Cockpit's episodes going forward, while also now getting a chance to provide his Kanata-esque animation on top, before then later going on to be entrusted with the character designs for several movies. Meanwhile, with another one of Toei's high-profile productions, Dragon Ball Z, Studio Junior, who had been tied to the franchise since the first episode, left in early 1993, and with the current arc approaching an action-heavy tournament, several studios, including Cockpit, were brought into the start.
Watch it. Hostile landed near me.
Nice.
Watch it. Hostile landed near me.
Attention. First blood.
First blood. Gotta be someone. Glad it's not one of us.
Firing. Round 1. Beginning ring countdown.
Mastiff here. Very rare. Strong incendiary rounds.
Crack above your shield. Shot at an enemy shield. Reloading. Taking fire.
Off the mic. I'm spotted.
Target down.
Which place?
Recharging shield.
Hostile. Danger close.
Crack shields on that bandit. Reloading. Reloading. Another squad's attacking.
Knocked a few. Reloading. Shield.
Reloading.
Multiple KIAs. Lead. Enemy shield.
No way, dude. Dude.
Down. Enemies. They're shooting at me. Near me.
Oh my god.
Got company, people.
Good night. That entire squad's gone bye-bye.
Enemy spotted.
Am I the only one getting deja vu here?
Known hater says. Self-res.
Reloading. I'm here. Done. So let's get you a do-over, huh?
Get ready for a light show.
This remind you of how we first met?
Smoke out. 1 sec. Use my Phoenix kit.
A hero after my own heart.
Give it in the chin.
Cover me, I'm using a Phoenix kit. 1 minute until the ring closes, and everything here is gone for good. My ultimate's charged and ready to go. Anyone up for some shopping? 45 to go. Fortunately, we don't take rooms close.
Like,
New kill leader appointed.
New kill leader. Watch your 6.
Nice choice.
hey, what do I
Taste.
take?
We've got 30 seconds. Mama's got you now.
Oh, I didn't grab any.
Recharging shields. We've got 10 seconds. I hate to say it, but looting time's over.
Good place as any to look for supplies.
In progress.
It's on. Ring's moving.
I'm crafting. Patience.
Extended light magazine here. Level 2. Ammo up.
Tossing jump drive.
Care package. We're not the first ones there.
Incoming care package. Pro tip, don't try grabbing something moving at that trajectory. I need a sniper stock. Got a bandit close
Hostile.
by. There's
Danger
someone
close.
here.
Half the squads are left.
Nice, dude.
Cracked a bogey's shield. Reloading. Under fire. Got one. Enemy down.
On my marker.
Say goodnight, Bruno. Recharging shield. Your lucky day. I've got you.
We got
Come
company,
on.
people.
Taking fire. Last one down.
Appointed.
No way.
Come with me. Over here. Shooting. Fry out. Come on, I still need you. Charging on my shield.
Nice grab in my back.
Recharging shields.
Give my shields a recharge.
Hold up. Healing. Look at this. Got a bandit.
Heads up. Dropping the plane. Incoming. Healing.
I cracked an enemy. Reloading. Grenade. Taking fire. Jump drive in position.
Oscar Mike.
Taking fire. Mayday. I'm grounded. Hold on, I need to heal. Bogey in my crosshairs. Shops open for business. They're shooting at me. I'm down. Frag out.
Chimney. Spotted. You'll be alright. I got you.
All this shit, dude. Like, why?
Looking for a rhythm? Nice at that.
What is she even
Staff
doing?
rotation. However, with Kagawa and his team locked into Sailor Moon, the core team assembled for Dragon Ball would be made up of Keisuke Masunaga as their animation supervisor, and who, while relatively new to this position, would be one of the chief architects to developing the core aesthetic of their episodes. With the key animators, the main staff list would include Isao Sugimoto, who joined the company in 1988, and also being one of the only members on the team that had worked on the series prior, thanks to some minor support work Cockpit was contracted to for movie 6. And although Masunaga is the name many think of when hearing Cockpit, Sugimoto's presence would be equally crucial to their entries, handling the most amount of cuts in their episodes and etching out the highest list of credits on the show next to Masunaga himself. Meanwhile, one of the studio's veterans, Masaki Iwane, had been bouncing around multiple shows, certainly living up to his workhorse reputation. From just 1990 to 1993, he would be credited on up to 13 separate franchises, with a particularly high involvement with the Brave franchise, at this point having contributed key animation across 28 episodes. Even despite his commitments, he would be added to the team. However, with heavy ties still to Brave as a regular key animator, his general contributions would be often under that of his fellow staff, and with instances of his name being the lowest on the key A list. Even so, he would be present for the majority of Cockpit's episodes. Up next then would be Chisato Akihira. Although absent for several of Cockpit's initial entries, onward from episode 201, Akihira, much like Sugimoto, would regularly tackle a high amount of cuts. Then to our final member, Masayuki Sato. Likewise, he wasn't present initially, debuting sometime later with episode 253. Sato, a relatively new face to the studio, well, if his credits are anything to go by, would now join the crew, being a regular on the show. Outside of the core staff, you would have other talents from the studio like the aforementioned Yumikoshi and Tamakawa, and others like Natsume dropping in for an episode or two. It also wasn't uncommon for occasionally an in-house Toei animator, or even one from another studio entirely, such as Shindo Pro, to assist in their episodes. On that note, it's also worth detailing
Gonna check it out over there. Safety's off. Enemy landed on me. First round.
Enemy knuckle cluster.
Countdown. Enemy's shield broke. Oye, firing. Love me an LMG.
Broken enemy shield. Down. Having smoke. Reloading. Hostile. Danger close.
Firing.
Broken enemy shield. Moving on the teammate.
We've got a new kill leader.
Cracked an enemy shield. Reload.
Goku bandits. Stitch them up. Marty, they're trying to corner us.
Attention. The kill leader has been eliminated.
Healing. Watch my back. I'm out of light ammo.
Wahoo! Some clusters!
Popping smoke. Healing. Watch my back. I'm out of light ammo.
Cracked an enemy shield. I'll cover for you, mates.
Kid right there, dude. Watson was right. Well, not Watson. Crypto. Good for him.
telling that to bypass the issues that often come with outsourcing, new studios working on the series would be paired together with a more experienced staff member on the production, sometimes one of Toei's direct employees, or once again a member from a separate studio entirely. The average period for this process would extend for 3 episodes. For Cockpit's initial entries, a former junior member now employed by Toei, Naoki Miyahara, would be chief AD on their episodes, albeit uncredited, whose style was very much the polar opposite of Masanaga's, making his corrections rather easy to spot. However, much like the staff's approach on Sailor Moon, upon Cockpit entering Dragon Ball, the stylish Kanata-esque way of handling movement would be no longer limited to Studio Seigasha. Now, without getting off track, as it's easy to do when talking about one of the most influential figures to have risen within this very industry, Yoshinori Kanada, even still I think it's important to highlight who he was to an extent, to get a more clearer and perhaps deeper understanding of Cockpit's approach. Now, it's difficult to discuss Kanada's style in a summarized format considering it was always evolving and a deeper analysis on it would take us away from the main topic. I have discussed briefly Kanada's influence in the past and where it was born from, which is one of the keys to better understanding it, so I recommend checking out this video. But to the task itself, one of the most distinct and well-remembered characteristics of Kanada was his frame modulation and use of spacing. Although I think other animators in the studio like Kagawa and his team on Sailor Moon mimicked that aspect more so, or should I say how Kanada utilized these factors in his earlier work, as that would change with him moving towards higher frame rates in the 90s. Masanaga, on the other hand, whether he simply favored Kanada's newer approach or was something he had moved to earlier of his own accord, featured a more controlled frame rate, often using 1s, 2s and 3s, and would use wide spacing but in a more conservative manner. Even so, other components of the Kanada school are on full display in both his work and other styles like Awane and Sato, with a reliance on strong poses and snappy movements, something that the staff would
Gonna recon that way.
Let's
Or this way.
Bloody hell, enemy landed near me. Firing. Cracked an enemy shield. Reloading.
Firing. Broken enemy shield.
Enemy down. Being shot at. Reloading. Kill that joker.
Attention.
First blood.
First
Keep it up.
blood.
Enemy shield broken.
Launching.
Target. Reloading.
Frag out.
What's it both to say?
Up in the chimney.
Getting shot at.
Hostile, right here. One sec. Using my Phoenix kit.
Another bloody squad's attacking us.
They spotted me.
Attention.
I'm taking shots.
There is
I've
a
been
new
down.
kill leader.
New kill leader. Watch for them.
Okay, these kids still in, dude.
Top in the chimney.
Attention. The champion has been
Cracked an
eliminated.
enemy shield. Serving them a knuckle sandwich. Champions go. Come here, little banner.
Smoke out.
Got us a new kill leader. Wouldn't mind saying good day to him.
Give me a sec. Recharging shield. I need light ammo. Smoke. Enemy in sight. 1 minute.
Joker's shooting at me.
Taking fire.
Reloading. Oh, down. Bad income shot though. Heading here.
Double timing it. Rings next door. 45. Broken enemy shield.
I would have kicked your.
Would never hold back from including, even in the downtime of their episodes. Their bombastic effects work likewise through influence from the same source, being built around a rapid fluctuation of sharp shapes within a regular rhythm to them. Several of these cuts here by presumably Sato, although regardless of who, no doubt having some form of corrections by Masunaga, gives an example of that emotion. Again, flicking back to Masunaga, you can see other traits carried over, such as pairing horizontal and vertical speed lines together for dynamic movements, with more groups of lines particularly drawn around the body for big impacts. Overall, this fun portrayal of movement and the endless amount of it makes Cockpit's episodes instantly recognizable, but also incredibly enjoyable. And these factors alone already make Cockpit one of the top studios on the series. But there's another piece to their approach which makes even for a casual fan to sit up and notice, and that is their art style. Now, if I was discussing a studio like Junyo, I would individually go over some of the most notable names in it and how they differed from one another. With a supervisor like Masunaga, however, that is practically impossible. When it comes to the phrase-heavy corrections in the context of discussing Dragon Ball staff, Tadayoshi Yamamuro is often the first name that many will point to. However, in Masunaga's case, the extent of his involvement in the supervisor role is, for whatever reason, lesser emphasized, often leading to many fans confusing a Wane style with that of Masunaga's. Regardless, he is just as heavy, if not more so than the latter. So I'll skip any individual breakdowns and go straight to Masunaga himself, the key player to all this. Now, his stylistic approach is radically different from any other supervisor to have worked on the show, which precisely makes it all the more interesting. The characters would be unapologetically off-model, favoring smaller mouths with wide gaps between the corners of the teeth, intricate lines to more heavily push expressivity in the face. Shading is less about refined and clear defined shapes as such employed in the model sheets, but rather to emphasize the musculature of characters, an approach Matsunaga didn't limit to Dragon Ball either. Even though this no doubt diverts from the general aesthetic of Dragon Ball, the wide expression range it achieves synergizes well with the intense fights.
I'm going over there.
Couple fucking shields all in this bitch.
Confirmed kill.
Code 1.
Tango near
I'm
me.
not gonna get up there to be honest with you.
Cracked him. Cracked him.
Good.
Don't drive set.
Reloading. Our enemies have met their fate. Taking a moment to recharge my shield.
Fucking love this gun, dude.
Evo shield here. Level 2.
Taking a moment to recharge my shields.
Shit, what do I do here?
Marking our surroundings.
Light ammo here. Light ammo here.
New kill leader appointed.
Extended light magazine here. Level 2. Ammo up.
New kill leader.
Get
Got
back.
an extended energy mag
Everything
here.
is called
Level
in the
4.
old-fashioned way.
Holy shit, can I pick up the item? So much energy though.
Extended energy mag here. Level 4.
I need light ammo. Smoke out.
Extended heavy mag here. Level 3.
Oh no shotgun. Damn pain.
Nice choice. You've got good taste. You are coming home with me tonight.
Looks like this area has been compromised.
No light mag? Are we being serious?
Tango spotted.
Activating jump drive.
Got a live one out there.
Heard that.
Anton, I need you to activate demon mode, dude.
Optics here.
I got you with my 30 rounds, baby.
Always
Let's
better
go.
than iron sights. We're inside. Broken enemy shield. Reloading. Already on my mark. Hostile, right here. Contact on my marker.
Throwing jump drive.
Safety's off, folks. Enemies here.
Cracked on the roof. Cracked on the roof.
Yeah, he raced. He went into this building.
You got one inside. One inside on the bottom floor.
Are we pushing this or no?
Yeah, bottom floor. Bottom floor.
I'm fucking dead here now.
I got one pushing
Shut in
me.
an enemy shield.
I'm dead. Fuck! Come on, man! Fuck!
No way.
Oh my god! Push in! What are you doing? Bro, wingman's not your gun. Oh no. Bro,
This guy. Okay, that was funny. That was funny.
The series is so rooted in, a factor Masunaga was more than conscious about. Now, I mentioned near the beginning that even within Masunaga's early days in the company, he already displayed his talent of producing drawings at an incredible rate. Of course, being fast is a necessity for a supervisor considering their job is to check over hundreds of cuts. However, Masunaga's speed allowed him to take such an approach, all while providing key animation on top, an exceptionally difficult task. This particular look to the episodes he supervised wasn't just through how strong they were in the individual sense, changing up entire poses and redrawing smoke quite often, but the general consistency of it across both the layout and key animation stage. Even experienced animators would have their work quite often fully redrawn. But despite how you feel about animators not getting to express their traits as clearly, it's undeniable the endless stream of expressively detailed characters wasn't a bad trade-off.
I don't think it was a big
It
whiff,
should
but
be no surprise with such a talented QA staff list and an adept supervisor,
Homie
something
said-
several prominent studios on the
Homie
production were lacking,
said your wingman is
created
not your
such a
gun.
powerful blend, making their episodes as rich as they were. Although their time was regrettably short on the series at large, their participation would deliver some of the most animated episodes the franchise had seen up until that point, and it would hold that trophy for some time.
Let's make some new friends and then destroy them.
So Cockpit, much in line with their track record so far, would have its share of work.
Yeah, I
cut
know
out
it
for
was
them.
bad.
And once again would have a spot on Yamato, giving a chance for the two hardcore Matsumoto fans to finally leave their mark on the franchise, a request Awane had been making to Yamaguchi since he first joined. However, in 1997, OLM would call up Cockpit for their new show, Pokemon. Although the staff list would house talents like Akihiro Tamagawa and Yuji Asada, Masaki Awane particularly would quickly rise to the top, and not just within the
I think they
studio,
had
but on the
glitches,
production at large.
in
His
Kill 'Em I Am
exaggerated
Assist,
style of
honestly.
animating to make, as in his own words, the movement seem bigger would be a formula for success, allowing him to achieve interesting motion within the limitations of a TV production, and these efforts wouldn't be recognized solely by fans. Within the early days of the series, his colleague Tamagawa would be moved onto a short Pikachu summer vacation. Tamagawa, who likewise shares several similarities to Awane in both his style, but also the Cockpit's tradition of speed, would often take on the majority of key animation for Cockpit's entries with
Gotta hop up here. Dual shell.
Enemy in sight.
Hands off, that's a Prezi Uzi.
Frag out.
Here comes the old enemy. Broke that enemy shield.
Off the mic. I'm spotted.
Oh, come on, dude, every time.
Repeat on last. Give my shields a recharge.
Broke that enemy shield. Mission failure. I'm down. Got me a enemy here. Right here.
Reloading.
Joker right. Not looking good.
Spotted. Double. You'll be alright. I gotcha.
Whole squad down. Now we can loot them.
Medkit here. They help, to say the least. Give my shields a recharge.
Healing up. You'll be right. Let's move this way.
Attention.
Attention. There is a
Give me a sec. Recharging shields.
Watch out for the new kill leader, friend.
Taking a knee. Patching up.
Heavy ammo here. Found a bow check here.
Healing. Watch my back.
Optics here. Mid-range.
Extended heavy mag here. Level 2.
I need light ammo.
Light ammo here.
Enemy spotted.
Hands off, that's a frenzy
Light ammo
confusing.
here.
1 minute, and the ring's spitting distance, folks.
Hemlock here.
Let's
RSMG
explore
here.
this way.
Hell yeah.
Extended
Wingman
light
here.
mag here. Level 2.
Hold on, let me grab this.
Extended heavy mag here. Level 3.
Ring's close and closing in 45. It's moving time.
Hostile over there.
30 seconds remain. The ring is
Cheers.
nearby. Heavy ammo here. Light ammo here. Light ammo here. Mastiff here. Target spotted.
Let's check out this area.
warning. Ring closing.
Another squad's been through. Hope they're around so we can say g'day.
Package.
Target done. And the rest.
Solid copy.
Hell yeah.
Setting up a zipline. Frag out. Let's go this way.
Being shot at. Broke that enemy. Down. Got me a problem.
The enemies are shooting at me. Cracked an enemy shield.
Arc star out. Broke the enemy shield.
Enemy here.
Reloading.
Drop,
The
drop,
chimney.
drop.
Reloading.
Enemy here, fellas.
Popping smoke. Give me a sec. Recharging shields.
Recharging shield.
Known hater says. Drop.
Joker there.
Great, dude.
Grappling.
Uzi needs an assist.
Giving my shields a recharge.
Not looking good. Uzi needs an assist.
Me now. Pony up.
Firing. Fire, friends.
Arc star out.
Giving my shield to recharge.
Backing in the door. Spotted.
Broke that enemy shield.
Watch my back.
Recharging shields. Reloading. Fire, friends. Hostile right here.
Come on.
Confirmed. Another.
Oh my
There are
god.
multiple ways this could end. I chose this one.
with Awane. However, with the duo temporarily separated, or so they thought, the circumstances would lead to Awane handling it all himself for both 56 and 63. Even though Awane's talents was already recognized to a degree prior, being placed on key moments from day one, OLM staff were quite impressed and would approach Cockpit in establishing Team Awane and Team Tamagawa. From this point, Awane would solo animate his episodes going forward, which is an element of Pokemon's production that remains unchanged. And somehow, amongst such a significant workload, he would have time to assist other studios on Pokemon and even within other OLM productions. In all, Cockpit, much like on the previously discussed titles, would be established as a fan favorite, but amongst a new generation of anime watchers. Even despite these successes, however, the studio would lose several of their key staff, such as Yoshihiro Kitano, relocating to Hawaii, now being a member of Square USA, to work on Final Fantasy The Spirits Within, being joined by none other than Kaneda himself. Yoshihiko Yumikoshi and Masayuki Sato in the 2000s would likewise depart, now taking the freelance route, and Hisashi Kagawa would go on to join Toei. But with a steady stream of new talents coming in, such as Masahiro Yamanaka and Mitsuzumi Yoshino, as well as retaining several legends such as Tamagawa and Awane, the staff composition of Cockpit would hold strong and would remain heavily involved in the industry, doing support work from on the bombastic Fully Cooley to the classic street racing series Initial D. However, after almost 40 years in the industry, early 2016 would mark the unfortunate closing of the studio.
But the things that I am not is I'm not a steroid abuser, and I do not use steroids.
There may not be a bigger name in pro wrestling than the immortal Hulk Hogan. Hogan truly made pro wrestling what it is today, but although his contributions to wrestling
I'm not a steroid abuser and I don't use steroids.
in a number of high-profile scandals throughout his career, Hogan certainly has his fair share of fans, but at the same time, his years of hurtful remarks and downright lies have made some fans resent the WWE Hall of Famer. Man, he's told some whoppers over the years.
I wrestled Andre the Giant with these boots on, and then a couple days later he passed on.
Which ones were they? Well, join us now as WrestleMania looks at 10 of the biggest lies that Hulk Hogan has ever told.
This is your champion. You know what I look like. Come find me.
Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists.
WrestleMania 30, right here in the Silverdome. I can't believe I'm the...
Number 10, he was supposed to be in The Wrestler. The 2008 movie The Wrestler was a commercial and critical success. Starring Mickey Rourke, the movie told a story of a struggling pro wrestler and his complicated relationship with his estranged daughter.
I don't know if it's on the ticket team.
When the movie was released, Hulk Hogan began to claim that the director of the movie, Darren Aronofsky, offered Hogan the lead role 3 different times. When Hogan initially said this, fans had their doubts.
What's that smell?
Hogan was a terrible actor, and it was unlikely that he would have been offered a movie of this magnitude. Embarrassingly for Hulk Hogan, it was later revealed by...
Yeah, we died here for sure. Nice. Look at that shit. Oh, I saw what was inside.
Recharging my shields.
No.
Reloading. Off the mic. I'm spotted.
Actually needed that, but cool.
Giving him the chimney. Give my shields a recharge.
Scanning the area.
I got eyes on this area. Reloading.
Recharging my shield.
I think you died, dude.
By the director himself that Hogan
I love getting caught in reload animations, bro.
at all. Number 9, he noticed Kevin Owens' star power.
Because the champ
is
Shortly after Kevin Owens' acclaimed feud with John Cena in 2015, Hulk Hogan did an interview with Radio Yorkshire, and in this interview, he claimed that he was the first one to ever notice Owens' star power and potential. At this point, Owens had cemented himself as a top superstar in the WWE, and Owens, before his run in WWE, had been on the independents as a top name for over a decade. Hogan during the interview said, "Well, I hate to brag about it, but I'm the first one to point the finger at Kevin Owens. I saw him on NXT, like his second match, and saw him just chop and beat and grind and beating his guy down and doing it the old school way and really understanding how to get heat. Doing it the old school way, and I said, that's the guy. I said, that's the guy. I don't care if he looks like a wrestler or looks like an ice cream salesman. I don't care. That's the guy." In this interview, Hogan would attempt to take credit for Owens' success. He tried to make a point that it was him who directed WWE to position Owens in a top spot in the company. Hogan's claims are truly laughable. It's baffling that Hogan believed that anyone would actually buy into what he was saying. Number 8, he claimed The Undertaker damaged his neck. At the finish of the match between Hulk Hogan and The Undertaker at 1991 Survivor Series, saw The Undertaker capture the WWE title for the first time. Taker would win the match by tombstoning Hogan right onto a chair, but according to Hogan, The Undertaker caused severe damage to his neck when the dead man performed a tombstone on him. The Undertaker actually believed that he had hurt Hogan with the move, which naturally impacted his confidence moving forward. When The Undertaker was rewatching the match back, he
right here on
realized
this
that
edge.
his head had never hit the chair.
Oh shit.
Safety's off. Enemy landed on me.
Please.
A broken enemy shield. Reloading.
Nice.
Off the mic. I'm spotted. Top in the chimney. First blood. FNGs always go first. Frag out. Broken enemy shield. Got a target.
Another squad fought in the head then.
No!
Enemy downed. On your feet, darling. Plenty of fight left in you. Till death, I said hello.
Hold on, hold on. Alright.
This meant that Hogan had completely lied about the injury. The Undertaker would confront Hogan about this, and he would offer some lazy explanation into relation to the so-called injury.
He's like, well, brother, what it was you had me so tight that when we came down, I had nowhere to move. That's what jammed my neck, because I couldn't move at all.
It was clear that Hogan was lying in order to damage The Undertaker's position in the company, which would unfortunately be a common theme throughout Hogan's career. Number 7, the Make-A-Wish lie. According to Hogan, back in 1992, he granted a Make-A-Wish for a sick child in the UK. Now this sounds like an awesome thing for Hogan to do, but when the story was examined, it turned out to be a huge lie. Hogan claimed that he secured a sick child tickets to SummerSlam, which was taking place in London, England. Hogan revealed that the kid was a huge Hogan fan and he wanted to see him perform on the show in the main event. The thing is that Hogan was never at SummerSlam in '92, and even worse, he wasn't even in the UK at the time, meaning he could never have met the poor child. Hogan using this fabricated story to make himself look good goes to show just how low he will sink to make himself look like the hero of his own story. Number 6, Mike Tyson was scared of him. One of Hogan's most nonsensical lies relates to himself and Mike Tyson. Hogan claims that whilst he was in WCW, a pay-per-view match was going to take place between Hogan and Tyson. This would have been a huge success for WCW, as Tyson was one of the biggest stars in the world back in the 90s, and the WWE obtained great success when he was involved in their WrestleMania build in 1998.
They could charge $20 million for each TV set because everybody would want to see who's the real champion of the world, Hulk Hogan or Mike Tyson.
Hilariously, Hogan claims that the reason that this planned match didn't take place was because Tyson was scared of him. Yes, that's right, one of the toughest, most successful boxers of all time was scared of Hulk Hogan. Number 5, Elvis Presley was a huge fan of his work. Hogan's autobiography makes for an exciting read, especially if you want to delve into the somewhat fictional reality that Hogan lives in. In his book, Hogan recounts a time that Elvis Presley used to come and watch him wrestle.
Honestly, dude.
Hostile landed near me.
Careful. Hostile landed near me.
I really wish I got the gun in the gun or whatever. There we go. So smart. Oh my gosh. I needed to reposition, bro. I wasn't running. Did you not see me turn around and try to flick?
Wrestled back in Memphis in 1977. Interestingly, Hogan began to wrestle in 77, and it would be a number of years before Hogan would become even a household name. This claim from Hogan becomes laughable when you learn that Elvis passed away the same year that Hogan started wrestling. This meant that it was almost impossible for Elvis to become a fan of Hogan's work, and it's probable that Elvis had zero idea who Hogan even was. Number 4, he claimed he was asked to fight for the UFC.
Severn punching to the leg.
That's it.
That's
He
it.
choked him out. Got choked out.
Performance by Severn.
When the UFC first started, it was unclear if the promotion was going to be a success. Due to this uncertainty, Hogan claims that UFC reached out to him and they asked him to fight for the promotion. Hogan claims that he didn't join the now popular promotion because people get beat up when the fight should be stopped. Even though it was clear from Hogan's reasoning that he had virtually zero knowledge about the world of MMA, Hogan's UFC claims were ultimately ruled out when one of the co-founders of UFC, Campbell McLaren, took to Twitter to state there was no truth whatsoever in Hogan's claims. This once again is another example of Hogan creating a fictional reality in his head. It's rather frightening to think that Hogan may actually believe some of the things he's claiming. Number 3, he claimed he broke his ribs at WrestleMania 18 against The Rock. Hogan and The Rock colliding at WrestleMania 18 made for one of the most acclaimed WWE matches of all time. The match has managed to last the test of time, and it's certainly a highlight of both superstars' respective careers. When the match was over, it was clear that Hogan had seriously injured his ribs and he looked in serious pain. Hogan later revealed that he had broken his ribs when The Rock performed a rock bottom on him, and fans took Hogan's word on this, and seemingly so did The Rock. However, in reality, Hogan had already got into WrestleMania 18 with broken ribs. He had broken them during a house show match against Rikishi, or whatever.
Really, they fly ahead of us? Oh my gosh, relax. Nice.
Taking a minute. Patching up.
First blood.
Nice, dude. Well, he was. I didn't know he was lined up, dude. Relax.
For a reason, he wanted the people to believe that the match with The Rock caused him to break his ribs. This lie offers parallels to the time Hogan lied about The Undertaker injuring him, so it's clear that Hogan gets extremely insecure when performing against top names in the wrestling business. To make things worse, in later years, Hogan had publicly declared that he did in fact go into WrestleMania 18 with pre-existing broken ribs. Number 2, he claimed he came up with the idea of the NWO with different members. The NWO were one of the most influential stables to ever grace a wrestling ring, and according to Hogan, it was him who came up with the idea for the legendary group. This claim has been rebutted a number of times throughout the years, including by Hogan's real-life friend and former WCW president Eric Bischoff. It was actually Bischoff himself who came up with the concept, mainly thanks to inspiration from New Japan Pro Wrestling. Bischoff has always been open in discussing the fact that he used an idea he'd already seen for the stable. Hogan claims that he wanted the NWO to feature himself, the Booty Man, and the Nasty Boys. Safe to say that if WCW went down this route, they would have lost the Monday Night Wars a lot quicker. And number 1, the WrestleMania 3 claims. WrestleMania 3 featured one of the most iconic moments in the history of wrestling. Hogan would body slam Andre the Giant in a truly memorable spot that virtually every wrestling fan knows about. But although the spot was truly magical, this hadn't stopped Hogan from lying about the specifics of the spot. The first lie Hogan has repeatedly told over the years is that he was the first person ever to slam Andre. This is untrue. Andre had been slammed a number of times prior to WrestleMania 3, including once by wrestling legend Harley Race. The Hulkster also claimed that Andre weighed around 600 pounds when he performed.
Open now. The Xbox Series S is a thing. Microsoft claims that it's set to deliver up to 120Hz gaming experiences at up to 4.
Hello everyone, it's SpawnPoint and welcome back to another video. And this is the Xbox Series S, the cheapest next-gen console that you can buy right now. But how does it compare to the Xbox Series X? And what features, if any, is it actually missing? Is this smaller and cheaper Xbox worth buying, or should you spend that £200 or $200 more for the Series X? Let me show you why I think this could be the perfect entry-level console to buy, and what the real pros and cons are over the X. Today I will go over the specs and the obvious features, but I will also show you how it runs on a 4K TV, bearing in mind the Series S only supports a 1440p resolution for gaming. And if you want to see more gaming and tech videos from myself, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. The first thing you'll notice about the Series S is the overall design and size. It's absolutely tiny, especially when you compare it to the Series X. It's actually 60% smaller, so if space is an issue in your setup, this could be a
I fucked up.
Double timing it. Hemlock here, level 4.
Round 1, beginning ring countdown.
Open supply bin over here. R301 here.
Attention, first blood.
First blood. R301 here.
I need energy ammo. Looking for a shotgun bolt.
Contact.
These kids are really sitting there, dude.
You spotted. Give me a sec. Recharging shit.
Fox 3 firing missiles.
Fucking right, dude.
Recharging shields.
Give my shields a recharge. I need shields.
on that bandit. Day, crashing and burn. Bandit here.
Yo,
Double timing it. Popping smoke.
I mean, I don't know where else to aim.
Oscar Mike, I'm spotted.
Another team inside, great.
Took down an enemy.
I don't know, dude.
1 minute. Rings nearby. Healing. Watch my back. Enemy spotted. Broken enemy shield. That was the whole squad. Give them the chimney.
On you. Got it. All right, hot cases. We're right by the ring. Come 45. Arster out.
Contact.
Arster out. Charging on my shields.
Enemy chimney. 3-0. Rings close. Evo shield here. Ramp. Enemy ammo here. He's got very little projectile drop.
Fox 3, visual clear. Good zone. Killing and drilling.
Heads up. Dropping the pain.
Cracked shields on that bandit.
Cracked an enemy shield.
Charging on my shields.
No!
Huge advantage to you. And just like with the previous gen, the S version comes in white instead of black.
Level
With a
4
matching
hammer, good
controller.
level 4 hammer.
This controller is no different to the other colours that are available for the Series S and Series X.
The brand they shouldn't have lost there.
Features at all. On the box itself, you've got the small Xbox branding, you've got the black grill on top, which really stand out against that white design. Overall, it's small and has a very clean design. It's got a sleek looking console. Now, what's great about the Series S, you can actually lay it flat, or you can stand it
Look
up.
already skipped
For
that,
example,
dude.
if I wanted to stand it up on myself, then I could, or if I wanted to lay it flat.
Look at this guy.
Now, the Series S comes with a 512GB SSD, which is a noticeable step up from last gen in terms of speed and load time, but it's half the size of the Series X, which comes with a 1TB drive. Realistically, you're getting about 364GB of usable space from this SSD. That means you'll probably get around 5 to 6 games installed, depending on their size, or one copy of Call of Duty. For an entry-level
One
console,
copy
I
of
think
Call of Duty.
364GB is fine, but you can also purchase a 1TB storage expansion card, although that will set you back as much as the console. So if you're looking to install 5 or 6 games at a time, the Series S will probably be fine. But if you like to have, say, the latest Call of Duty and Warzone installed, you've probably already maxed out the storage on the Series S. And once you factor in updates to your existing games or downloading new games as they come out, the 364GB could be a problem. When it comes to playing games on the Series S, you're going to get the exact same offering as the Series X. I'm not talking about power or resolution, I'll cover that in a minute, I'm talking about the actual games. So every game available for the Series X is on the Series S too. The games are optimised for these consoles, so that means you can play the same back catalogue of Xbox One and 360 games plus the latest releases. Game Pass is incredible. I've said this before on other videos, and I think Game Pass along with the Series S is an awesome combo. You can play the latest FIFA, Forza, Back 4 Blood, or download any of the old classic games like Halo. I mean, sure, most of these games could technically be played on the older Xbox One, but it's going to be better and faster on the Series S, especially with that SSD. And it is whisper quiet too. I knew the Xbox Series X was quiet because I've been using that for the last year or so, but take a listen to just how quiet the Series S is.
Oh, who do I play?
Another awesome feature that the Series S has, as well as the Series X, is Quick Resume. This feature really is next gen. Being able to close one game and open another in a matter of seconds is great. It doesn't just close the game though, it saves the exact moment that you left it. So if you're driving around a corner in Forza and you leave that game to play something else, when you come back to it, it will be in the exact same spot. Just one thing to note about the Series S is there's no disk drive. This means your entire game purchase and experience is going to be digital only. No more cheap deals on physical games or borrowing discs from your mates. Personally, I buy 99% of my games digitally on both the Xbox and the PlayStation 5. It's easier to buy, play and store, and switching between games is so much more convenient. If you do go down the all-digital route like I have, my advice is to look around online for websites that sell PSN and Xbox Live credit. I use 2 different sites and it saves me around 15% on credit, which means every game that I buy through the stores, well, they are...
Oh, we landed also, dude.
15% cheaper. So even though I've already shown you some impressive gameplay from the Series S, there's one big difference between the X and the S, and that's the resolution. The Series X is capable of true 4K gaming, which means that what you see is the best available right now, whereas with the Series S it's limited to 1440p. Now this might sound bad, but we're not talking 1080p here. 1440p is still watchable, and once it's upscaled to 4K it looks okay. Okay, so this example here, this is Forza and I'm currently playing it on the Xbox Series X. It looks nice, super sharp, and clearly looks like it's 4K. But let's look really closely to some of the content on the screen. So we're going to look at the badge here on the back of the car. You can see here what it says. So remember, this is in 4K and this is on the Xbox Series X. Now we're going to switch over to the Xbox Series S. Same game and it still looks good, but everything just looks a little bit softer and almost out of focus. Now bear in mind I've not changed anything here, it's the same HDMI cable, it's the same port on the TV, but I can definitely see a difference. Now if we go back and we look at the same badge on the back of the car, it's completely different to the Series X. There's no denying it looks pixelated and almost unreadable. Now comparing the two side by side, it's obvious that the Xbox Series X at 4K looks a lot better than the Series S at 1440p, which is then upscaled to 4K. These results are obvious, but it's only when comparing them side by side do you really see how much detail you're missing. So if you're used to playing or seeing native 4K content, you're going to notice this difference. But don't forget you need...
Throw an arc star. Throw an arc star.
Hostile spotted.
Throwing thermite.
They're shooting at me. Reloading. That's the last of them, amigos. Go ya!
You're not... The champion made a poor choice.
Charging on my shields.
Energy ammo here.
One more minute, amigo. Ring's right there. So close. So close.
Optics here. Mid-range.
45 seconds. But we could just walk it. Light mag. What? Go faster! We're already in the ring.
Attention. There is a new
Shield battery here.
New kill leader. Watch for
Body
them.
shield here. Level 4. You need one if you don't have it.
Dibs.
Care package being delivered.
Heads up. Care pack. Thanks.
Charging on my shields.
Extended heavy magazine here. Level 3. Give me a sec. Recharging shields.
I need it. Thank you. Salt here.
Give my shields a recharge.
Shield cell here. Shield battery here. Barrel stabilizer here. Optics here. Mid-range.
New kill leader appointed.
New kill leader? Not for long, pal.
That place has seen activity. Spying here.
On your back. Be right there.
Let's go this death box here.
Heard that.
Optics here. Close range.
The drop is down, and this map is worse.
Care package over here. Got an Evo shield here. Level 3.
Round 2. Beginning ring countdown.
We're inside the ring. Got the positional advantage.
Replicator being delivered.
Replicator touching down. Shotgun bolt here. Level 3. Dibs.
Holy shit, dude.
Shield battery here.
Barrel stabilizer here. Level 3.
Seven squad.
Ooh, that's gonna kick.
Let's reposition here. Contact.
Solid copy. Rings nearby.
See that?
1 minute.
Dropship up there.
Eject button.
That's two.
45 seconds. Rings close.
Down that one.
Reloading.
That one's out for the count. 30 seconds until the ring closes. You like cutting it close, huh? I dig that.
Let's relocate here. Copy that. on. Ring's moving. Opening fire. Going to phase. Need to recharge my shields. Reloading. Putting up a heat shield. I'm hurt. Using a
Throwing Arc Star.
Heads up. Dropping the vein.
Throwing out.
Reloading.
Watch my back.
Enemy spotted.
Let's go here. Getting you back.
Taking shots. Void jumping. I'm being downed.
Using meds. Come on, come on, come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
You need a TV or a monitor that supports 4K to even see it, and even then you need to be pretty close to appreciate the true 4K over upscaled 1440p. If you're using a monitor that's 1440p, well, you're not going to see any difference in resolution anyway, so don't worry about it. And any games that are enhanced for the Xbox Series X, like the older games with this logo, these also won't be native 4K on the Series S, but that's down to that same 1440p limitation. When it comes to audio, just like with the Series X, the Series S supports everything that you need. This includes Dolby Digital, DTS, True HD and Atmos. Both are lacking the optical port, so if you're planning on using an optical out to your TV or soundbar, you'll need to use HDMI instead. The audio that it supports is not only great for gaming, but ideal for entertainment too. So the Series S supports all of the streaming apps you would expect to see, including Disney+, Netflix and Amazon Prime. And what's great about these streaming apps is even though the gaming side of the console is limited to 1440p, the playback for content is actually 4K. And as all of these apps support 4K and even Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos, there is no difference to the Series S over the Series X. For a console this small and cheap, to double up as a 4K streaming box is awesome. I usually use the apps on my TV for watching Netflix, but the apps on the Series S is exactly the same. So unlike the PlayStation 5 and the PlayStation 5 digital console, the Series S and X do have different specs. The Series S does share some of the features from the Series X, including ALLM or Auto Low Latency Mode, VRR and AMD FreeSync, but the internals are different. So the CPU is similar but not identical to the X. The X is running a 3.8 GHz while the S is a 3.6 GHz processor. The GPU power on these differ again. This is the reason behind the resolution being capped at 1440p instead of 4K. Obviously, as the Series S does not have a disk drive, it's unable to play Blu-ray discs, something that the Series X can do. But if you do like buying physical games or movies, and this Xbox will be the only way for you to play them, you might need to go for the X instead. One question worth asking is, with the differences in power between these two, will we see a greater divide between how future games will look? Right now the games look very similar, just the resolution is different, but as developers create games for the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X, will the S see more than just a drop in resolution? Like, will the games look worse? For the games that exist already, it shows that the Series S is more than capable of playing those games, but as more intensive games are released for next gen, it will be interesting to see how the S handles those. A quick look around the console itself to have a look at the available ports. There's one HDMI 2.1 port, 3 USB 3.1 ports and an Ethernet port. Now although the
Ethernet? Okay, dude.
Who's ready to fly on a zip line? I am.
Frag out.
Oh, bungalow sucks, dude. Holy shit. I don't know why she's so bad for like with the smoke. Not the play.
Bad news. They neutralized a zone.
Capture bonus available.
Bungalow is definitely not the play there. Holy shit. Oh.
Attention. A capture bonus event will end shortly.
Already up 10%. Imagine. Nobody's taken B. Yeah.
They're halfway to winning. We got something to say about that? Capture bonus added to Zone C.
Yeah, legit fighting us in the open there. Nice.
Dropping the pain.
I don't know how else to aim at that guy. We're outnumbered as well. Or. Nice.
Zone's neutralized, not by us.
Attention. A capture bonus event is ending soon. All zones are controlled by one team.
Got you.
Holy shit, my teammates are lost.
You okay with this? Because I'm not.
Time for a relaxing Sunday drive. Cheers, mate. This is my stop.
That's not what I was going for.
Now that's a bloody beautiful ride. Let's go find some trouble. Right, and rolling out of the vehicle here. Here comes the old knuckle cluster. Reckon we should go here. Heal it. Give me a sec.
That was a rough game. Glad that was over.
Apex
Yeah.
Probably do one more.